Break Those Bones by Meshuggah. Very heavy song. I got no problem with it. I'm a fan of the band Meshuggah. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that. I listen to heavier music. A lot of the stuff I've been looking at is heavier stuff. This, however, I think is a really, really interesting music video. They took a very brave and bold thing making this music video. It is just shy of 7 minutes long, and the entire thing is performance. There is absolutely no narrative within it at all. And the entire performance is pretty simple as well. Overall, this is a very simple music video. And unfortunately, I have to say, I am not a fan of it. It is 7 minutes of them playing their instruments. I can understand why they did it. There is a lot of focus on the actual song itself, on the actual skill of, you know, the singers and the guitarist, and especially the drummer. There's a lot of shots for the drummer. But personally, I don't think it's the strongest performance in the world. But I wanted to look at it because they use the green screen technique, which is obviously something we may have to consider if we want a more powerful narrative, because we can't have a really, really, really strong, complicated, powerful narrative alongside a really, really busy performance, because that's just going to drown out the song and get far too much. And I think it would be better to do a more simple performance than it would be to do a simple narrative, because if you just have a simple narrative, what's the point? But yeah, I think this is past the idea of simple. I think this just gets boring. I got bored watching it all the way through. I think for this music research is the only time I have ever watched this video the whole way through. The song's brilliant, don't get me wrong, love the song, just not a fan of the video. So yeah, obviously it's done in front of green screen to put them in, you know, just on plain black. There's nothing fancy going on. The other thing is they're all in black clothes, so they really blend in. I personally don't think they thought about this enough. I understand that, yeah, okay, they maybe want the emphasis on the music and the actual lyrics, and they actually want people to listen to the music rather than get distracted by narratives and actually forget what the song's about. But still, make it a little bit interesting for us, otherwise you're just going to lose your audience. However, the slow motion with the guy's headbang, awesome idea. They've got the hair to do it. They've got black hair on black backgrounds, and the only thing that's bringing it is this minimal lighting, and it's just catching the highlights of their hair as it's whipping back and forth. And personally, I think that's an amazing thing. It's probably one of the better things in the video. I'm not a fan of the video overall, but there are some good things in here. I'm not completely slating it, because what would be the point? So yeah, I think that works really, really well. The other thing with the lighting that works amazing is the actual... Because the lead singer's bald, it works really well on him as well. Because sometimes you can only see part of his forearm and the top of his head, and I just think that's so sort of mystical, magical. Magical's not the word. Sort of... Where's mystical, really? It's sort of like mystery. It's sort of like... It began with an M. It's sort of like... hiding the band from us. There's clearly a focus on the band, because they've done a 7-minute long music video focusing on the band and the music, but yet they're hiding the band from us, and I just think it's such a weird concept. I don't understand why they've done it, but it kind of works. The other thing the lighting looked amazing on is the metal for the drums. The way it just hits part of it and it really illuminates half of it, and the other side is really dark. It just creates this amazing contrast, and I think the way they lit the drums, just that's it. That works. It's probably the best thing for me in the video is when you see shots of the drums, because I just think it's so nicely lit. It goes with the simplicity of the whole video and stuff like that, but it's just done so cleverly. It works for me. The bit that does annoy me is you never actually see the band together. There is no unity of the band. Every single shot is only of one member. You don't even get a shot with two of them. It's all either singer, guitarist, bassist or drummer. There is no different. And the problem with that is there is only so many shots you can do of a guy playing a guitar before it gets really, really, really samey and just adds to the boringness of this video. Yeah, I think they could have made it a lot more interesting with shots and maybe combining a couple of the people in the same shot, etc, etc. But overall, I think the actual idea of this video is really cool. I think the fact that they have no narrative, they have no, we've got no fancy techniques. There's a bit of camera jolting, a bit of handheld going on. But I think the fact that they've kept it down to the bare minimum, the absolute minimum you can get away with, really shows that they want it to be about the music. They don't want it to be all this big fancy video. It is an amazing sort of thought about the music and how exactly important the music is in it. Because ultimately music videos are adverts. So why are you trying to sell something with a narrative when you can just sell it with the music itself? I think that's quite an interesting concept. I like the way they do the narrative here. Not the narrative, the performance. I like some of it, and I want to take some of it away. I think the idea of green screen and it being very minimalistic, stuff like that, and the simplicity of it works. Personally, I don't want to sit and watch it for another 7 minutes, though. I think if we took this idea forward, we would obviously have to have the narrative with it, and the narrative would have to be really strong to balance out this kind of performance. But I think that's sort of where we're heading. I think we're sort of heading... Because if we had our way, we'd have no performance. But we've got to have it, so I think we're sort of heading simplistic narrative... simplistic sort of performance, tied with this really complex or deep or really visually pleasing narrative, just so it all balances out. The song doesn't get drowned out, one doesn't drown out the other, and it all just works and flows nicely. And I think watching this video shows us exactly what not to do, and some of the things of what to do, how important lighting is and stuff like that. This video is definitely shown, because lighting can make a huge difference. Personally, I think if the drums weren't lit as well as they were, and the main thing wasn't lit as well as he was, I don't think I could have got through the entire 7 minutes of it. I think also a range of shots, having that range of shots, even if we don't use all of them, when we're on the shoot we have to take many shots, otherwise it's just not going to work. We need much to play with, otherwise we're going to end up looking samey like this video does. I know, it sounds like I've slated this video for nearly 7 minutes now, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of it, I just don't think it works for such a long song. If this was a 3-minute long song, perfect. 7 minutes, pushing your audience a bit. But it's what we learn. It's what we learn through research. And that's what I've learned from this song. So, awesome.